You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
All right, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Another wonderful Friday night, getting in, hang out with you and talk fantasy football, dude. I got no complaints.
And it is that time for the old bet, set, snap, which should be a fun one. Should be a pretty good one here, right? With the kind of the ins and outs, and we're getting ready to just rock and roll here into week 11, and should be a pretty good slate of games. But before we start diving into that, any news, notes, anything that you want to hit up on that front?
Brock Purdy's going to start for the Niners, so that's a good thing. Ricky Parasol's also back for the Niners, so we're happy about that. But Sam Laporta is going to miss the game against the Eagles, so if he is your tight end, we need to be looking for a pivot. This is going to be out for the foreseeable future. Potentially still going to go on IR. They're looking for another opinion or just kind of seeing how this foot reacts. So we'll see how that goes. No Bucky Irving, no Chris Godwin, no Isaiah Pacheco. So most likely Kareem Hunt. Rashard Smith for the Chiefs. I think those are the big ones that we know of at the moment. So not as bad as it has been, but there's still some guys on IR that are hurting, right? Or I guess guys who aren't, right? We know that Jaden Daniels, right? Not on IR, but we know he's not going to go. It's a Marcus Mariota week. So that's definitely a bummer. Kyler's on IR. So we know about that one. Travis Hunter, we talked about that Tuesday briefly. He is on IR, so we will see hopefully some more Brian Thomas Jr. And potentially some Jacoby Myers. See how that plays out for the Jags. So, but overall, decent week. Not too many. Two teams on a bye that we're sorting through. Not too many injuries, but at this point, everybody's nicked up a little bit. So we're just going to keep grinding through here, and we got a couple weeks left before the playoffs, right? So the push is on. Bye weeks, or excuse me, trade deadlines. You're going to start seeing trade deadlines pop up anywhere between now and the end of the regular season, just depending on how your league is set up. So we want to be looking at playoff matchups potentially as we get into that, so that way we can start looking 3-4 weeks ahead, making sure we have the right guys on our roster to help us advance through the playoffs. So a couple different things, right, to be looking at as you're jostling through your roster, especially in redraft leagues where there's probably some more free agency available. Dynasty leagues, you're pretty well set with what you got unless you can make a trade.
Right. And very much the case in that avenue is pretty well set by this point. But same thing with a lot of your redrafts, right? There's unless you're playing some shallow benches, by this point you're kind of locked and loaded there. But this is definitely the time to keep looking out for some potential, ads and stashes and all of that coming down the stretch here, and we should be in for a pretty good slate of games here. Anything else that we want to hit up here before we start kind of diving into the chat?
I mean, we can briefly from the game last night, right? New England and the Jets. I found myself really liking those New England uniforms, and I know that there wasn't an abundance of love for them, but something about those like denim looking uniforms I thought were kind of cool. So, Patriots kind of controlled that game easily. Drake May didn't have to do a whole bunch. Travion Henderson, it looked really good again. So it'll be interesting to see what this truly shapes up to be when Ramondre Stevenson comes back. If we see more of a timeshare, if Stevenson gets his old role back, Vrabel's got some decisions to make, but Henderson just has enough pop. Like, you can't keep him off the field any longer. He's shown that over the last 2 games. He has an explosiveness that this Patriots team doesn't really have without him on the field, right? Like, they don't have a one-touch go guy. Travion Henderson gives them that, even from the running back position. So we'll see how this shakes out here in the next coming weeks. But congratulations to the Patriots. They're definitely in the driver's seat there in the NFC East, coming off of a 4-win season last year to be sitting at 8-2 now, coming after this. Congratulations. And they kind of keep plugging along. So I know they got another game against Buffalo, but our schedule shapes up pretty good for the Patriots to be able to end up the 1 or 2 seed, most likely in the playoffs, as long as they don't stub their toe.
Right. Yeah, they are 9-2 after the win last night.
9-2. They're bye weeks later. That's right.
Yep, and they've got a couple of teams kind of nipping at their heels as well, with the Colts and the Broncos both at 8-2 entering the weekend. So, potential to see kind of a 3-headed race here coming down the stretch on, which rather interesting, right? I did see a lot of kind of folks out there minimizing what the Patriots have done thus far with the talking about the schedule, and that it's not necessarily as great as it might look, but at the end of the day, you've still got to line up there, play against professionals, and just get the job done, and to win 9 of 11, pretty impressive. Even if you had maybe a little bit lighter schedule, things like that, but this is one of those that the NFL, you kind of earn your schedule from the season before, and if you had a bad season, you tend to get a little bit lighter season the schedule the following week or following year. So, just kind of the way that is and shaped up, and good for them.
Yeah, it's the parity aspect, right? I mean, you don't tend to see such a dramatic turnaround, but this is how it's supposed to get set up, right? It's for teams who are whether they're struggling or whether they're just young, right? You get the right piece or pieces that you need in the draft. Maybe free agency helps out a little bit, and then boom, you're off to the races, and you have a schedule that's a little bit more favorable if you're out kicking your coverage. So
right,
we'll see how it shapes up. I quite frankly, I don't believe in any of those 3 teams in the playoffs just yet, right? Like, they've done it in the regular season. I just don't know. It's hard to discredit Kansas City, Baltimore, and Buffalo, right? Like, those 3 are kind of the standard. And I know that all 3 of them have had some challenges here this year so far, but Baltimore's healthy. Kansas City is seemingly getting back on track, right? Like, they didn't get that game against the Bills, but we'll see how they look this week against the Broncos, right? The Broncos traditionally do play Mahomes tough, but they also have a hard time getting over on Patrick Mahomes. So, this week for the Broncos and the Chiefs both, I think that'll tell us quite a bit in that game. And even on the flip side, the Eagles and Lions, I think that game will tell us a little bit as well. I think the Monday night game being 10-7, it was a gritty, kind of grimy performance. I thought it was interesting how much praise that 10-7 game got when the Raiders Broncos game got absolutely trashed for being 10-7. And those 2 games looked eerily similar to me.
Yeah, you're not necessarily wrong. So
I mean, they looked eerily similar to me. So I don't know. I guess it's just the national spin that you want to put on it, because at least the Eagles and Packers are both playoff bound teams, and we know the Raiders aren't. So we feel like the Broncos should have handled them a little bit easier, but it was a divisional game. And sometimes that does equalize, a good or bad season. It's the fact that you draft and sign players to win your division first and foremost, and those games should be closer.
Right. Very true. And kind of before I forget to mention it, there is the international game this week. So
first game in Spain.
Yep, you got the 9:30 kickoff on the Eastern side of things. So, again, make sure that you're setting lineups and getting all that done, getting done, so that it doesn't creep up and sneak up on you there. So, Always fun with some of that, and we'll see how the Spain side of things play out there. But yeah, any other kind of news notes that you want to hit up here and chat about before we start getting into the chat?
No, I don't think so. Let's see what the chat brings us, and it might take us down a rabbit hole.
Okay, sounds good. And guys, again, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, make sure you throw them in the chat. Let's chat about those and get everybody ready to go for the week. And let's go ahead and start off here with Thrill over on YouTube. Should I start Vidal or Marks? I have McConkey as my slot receiver, but currently have London there because he could be out.
So McConkey has a full health. They cleared him, so his latest tag is healthy. So McConkey will be in the game. I think I would play Vidal. I don't love this Houston offense. I just don't. Like, the offensive line is bad. I know that the Chargers offensive line is dinged up in its own right, but if I had to play one or the other, I think I'd be a little bit more confident with Vidal this week over Marks. But that one's just me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys are probably within a point of each other is how I'm kind of projecting them out and seeing that one through. I do see Vidal as a slight edge on this one. Vidal probably, this is one of those that they could be having a little bit of a, bigger kind of bust side of things here. But I think he also, is probably in a little bit better situation, right? Especially when it comes to some of the line things like that. But the Chargers typically, when they travel east, they tend to have a little bit of a harder time on that one. And this game is in Jacksonville, so they are traveling east this week. Even with all of that being said, and kind of the negative side that I just brought up there, I would still lean on the Vidal side of things. But again, these guys are super close, and I think you're probably getting a back end RB2 for your roster. As far as starting McConkey and Vidal, I've said that here over the last few weeks. That doesn't necessarily concern me much. Starting two guys from the same offense at different positions, right? If I'm starting two Chargers running backs or two Houston running backs, no, like, make a choice one way or the other. But right, the offense, we would anticipate the Chargers moving the ball, and even if you've got two guys on the same deal, you're not going to necessarily see those guys eat into one another's production there. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I'm right there with you.
All right, awesome. Let's go ahead and hit up here from Jason saying start three. Rashad White, Shakir, no Kincaid, Sticky Ricky, first game back. Tet McMillan, already starting Rico and a bad matchup. Wandale Robinson, no Slayton, but already starting Theo Johnson, so sit two. Rashad's almost got to just get locked in there, right? Is one of them.
Who? Sorry, I missed that. Who do you think's locked in?
I think Rashad White's probably locked in, right? Like, even with the matchup against Buffalo, the fact that Bucky's out, I think that he's still a back end RB2.
How you beat Buffalo is on the ground. So I think if it's not going to be through the air, so I think you're going to see a good, healthy dose of Sean Tucker and Rashad White both. So I like Rashad White. I like Khalil Shakir. So okay, sit two through this. I'm sitting Ricky Parasol.
First game back, I would agree.
First game back, I'm gonna sit him. Like, let's see how this looks. And you have players that you can, play around with that, and it's not a big deal. So I'd go ahead and have Parasol sit this one out for your team, and then Tedero, McMillan. I could sit Tet. I like Wando. Like, and
I
I
do
know you
too.
got Theo Johnson playing, but I mean, Theo Johnson's just a streaming tight end. Like, that part is what it is. But Theo Johnson, I will get some love, but Wandale Robinson's going to get a ton with Darius Slayton not there. J-Mo's the quarterback, so you know he's going to be chucking the ball. Like, that will be interesting with no Jackson Dart this week. So there's two guys we missed, right? Jackson Dart's out and Dalton Kincaid's out also. So I apologize. I missed both of them when we were talking about it before we got into questions. Wandale, I think I'd roll out. Yeah, I think I'd sit Tet and Ricky Pearsall this week.
See, and I'm there with you on the Rachaad White. I'm there with you on the Wandale Robinson. I do think Shakir and Tet are going to be very, very close to each other. This is one of those that I think probably within about a half point of that. I probably lean a little bit more on the Tet side of things, just from the volume that he's getting. But so I'd lean that way. I could be talked into the Shakir side of things as well. But currently, as it sits, I'd roll out the Rachaad White, Wandale Robinson. So you and I are both in alignment there. And it sounds like you and I see things just a touch bit different here between Shakir and Tet. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think I guess my final point. So yes, I shouldn't have said no. Yes. So my final point is, Tyrell McMillan is not getting in the end zone, right? Like that's forbidden land from him to this point in his rookie year. Doesn't mean he's a bad receiver. It's just not where he's making hay right now. So, not that Shakir lights up the end zone himself, but I guess I trust Josh Allen to find him in the end zone as opposed to Bryce Young finding McMillan.
Fair enough. Alrighty. Looking at this one, Jason saying start one this week between Bo Nix, Roger Purdy, first game back, maybe stack with Ricky, McCarthy, Geno, Brissett, or Winston with Theo and Wandale stack. Tua and Mariota are options, but 9:30 game. A lot to impact this one for a start one QB. Which one are you leaning towards?
Man, this is a lot to pack. I think it should be Rodgers going against Cincinnati. But again, these divisional games, you would think that Pittsburgh's going to learn from losing that game, right? It's a high-scoring game when they played a couple weeks back, so maybe you can kind of see more of the same thing. So Rodgers going to put. I think that's where I'm going. The more I'm talking about it and kind of working my way through it, I think I'm playing Rodgers. He's plays in the worst defense. Knicks is going to have a tough matchup against the Chiefs, and he has been inefficient to the nines.
Yes.
So I think I'm leaving Bo Nix out. Brock Purdy, first game back, no thank you. JJ McCarthy, I don't trust him. Like I would rather bank on the fact that Aaron Rodgers is going to get to 210 and 2 touchdowns than JJ McCarthy. Now, McCarthy has his legs, so that does help a little, but I don't love that when I know there's a quarterback playing a really juicy matchup, and Cincinnati's right there with Dallas as far as it goes with juicy matchups for quarterbacks and wide receivers. So I think for this week, Jason, I'm going to guide you toward Aaron Rodgers, and then we'll kind of see how that shakes out.
Yeah. I agree with you on the Bo Nix. Nope, out on that one. Purdy out on that one. Geno, even though they're playing Dallas, and that is super primo matchup, I'm really the only time I'm going to start Geno at this point in this season is a desperation play, and I don't really have many other options. Like that's really kind of where I'm settling on Geno. Winston, I like playing Winston just from the standpoint that I like rooting for Jameis Winston. But
Yeah, you can get 6 touchdowns or 6 picks.
right,
Like, and the
right,
range is that much, right? Like,
it,
he's a fun guy to root for, right?
yes,
He just is.
right. Yeah, this is a Giants team that is plagued with injuries. They just got rid of the head coach. Like I want to see things settle down a little bit before I'm going to try and roll out there with JMO, and I want to see what this really looks like. So as much as I like rooting for JMO, I'm out on him. Tua, Mariota, those international games tend to be a bit low scoring and all of that.
If that game
And
was in the States, I'd lean Tua
yes, I would too.
and just
But
hope he gets the check down to Achane, right? Like
right,
that, you're hoping he gets the check down to Achane, or
right.
Jalen Waddle breaks one loose.
Right. So I'm out on that one, which really does kind of come back to, again, JJ and Aaron Rodgers. JJ has been serviceable of late, right? Like he's put up kind of 2 back-to-back weeks at QB 13, QB 14. Like it's serviceable, it's there. But to your point, I don't want to have to kind of trust that one. And I think the matchup is far better for Aaron Rodgers in Cincinnati. So I'm leaning the Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not a fan of really. This is kind of the best of the worst type of scenario here for me. And in that case, I'll lean the Aaron Rodgers side.
I think
Um,
another way of looking at it is Aaron Rodgers has a floor of QB 20, right? Bouncing back from a really bad game last week, right? So he's determined. So I'm going to tell you, he has a floor of QB 20 and a ceiling of QB 5. JJ McCarthy has a floor of probably QB 28 and a ceiling of QB 10.
yeah.
Now, McCarthy, again, because of his legs, might consistently fall in at that 13, 14, more so than Rodgers does, especially at this age.
Right.
But this could be the game, right? Cincinnati defense. You could see Rodgers hit, 275 yards, and you're just hoping he's passing for the touchdowns.
Right.
So it's just another way of looking at it, right? I mean, the legs are the great equalizer, as we see how Justin Fields kind of scores in fantasy after looking like dog trash last night, but still got
Yeah.
2 points.
Yeah, he did. So
I'd rather do it against a bad defense, though.
fair enough. Jason is asking, which 2 guys should I put on my bench for stash? Nick Chubb, Pacheco, Tootin, Corum, Isaiah Davis, Emmanuel Wilson, or Stevenson? Stevenson and Corum for me, I think.
No, son. Those are the 2 guys that gravitate to the most.
Right? Like Corum's there for a stash if Kyron goes down, right? Like that should be an immediate plug and play, and you're seeing a guy that gets 80% of the snaps. Stevenson, right? Like we've seen him have a role in New England. I think he'll continue to have a role when he comes back. So, that's where I'm at. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I agree. If you're going for just pure high side, then it's Corum and Davis.
Yeah.
Just pure high side. It's Corum and Davis. Corum and Stevenson, you get a bit of, you kind of get that beauty of both. Stevenson's not going to blow the doors off of anything, but he was seeing the lion's share of attempts and was at least being used regularly before this toe injury. And like Derek said, if Kyron Williams happens to go down, like Corum's volume alone puts him at the very top end of RB2, if not higher.
Agreed. Jason saying start 1 QB this week between Rodgers, Geno, Brissett, Tua, and Mariota are options, but 9:30 a.m. game. Same guy as before for me.
Yep, Rodgers. And again, if this game was played in the States, I might lean towards Tua, just because I think this Washington team's about giving up. So I would lean Tua if it was here in the States, but international games, I really try and stay away from the best I can.
Right. Jason saying my QB is Dak this week. but I use Jones weekly. Also, Joe Burrow. Should I drop Joe Burrow after I paid $33 for him for Judy or Ridley? My wide receivers are Chase, London, Nico, Sutton, Terry, extra wide receiver for safety.
No,
Right.
I don't think you need it. I don't think
Right.
Judy or Ridley are going to offer more than Sutton or Terry McLaurin when he comes back.
Right. Now,
Right. If anything, I mean, if anything, I could argue, if you want Judy or Ridley, drop Terry McLaurin.
right.
And it
It's,
sounds dirty,
it
but
does name power, but
What's Terry done this season?
whole lot of pain. That's
A whole lot of get hurt.
right. So yeah, and I can understand the standpoint too that you why do you want to carry 3 quarterbacks on your roster? If you got an
So
IR
your
spot,
opponent can't have Joe Burrow.
that's about right, right? And same thing with Dak, and same thing with Daniel Jones, right? These are all guys that are putting that up. If you really want to try and maneuver some things around, try and make a trade for one of these guys, right? Try and move one of your quarterbacks, try and do something like that. But Judy or Ridley, yeah, I don't see a world in which you're gonna be starting those guys unless you've got like a start 3 wide receiver and 2 flex type of deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, any other
It's
thoughts on this one?
No, I agree, right? Like scour your league, see what it is, and see if you can flip Jones and Sutton for a, a better running back or receiver than kind of where you're at.
All
But
righty.
those are the two I'd be looking to package if you're doing it. I'd be looking to package Sutton and Jones, seeing what you can get in return out of it. Josh Jacobs, maybe,
Right.
right? Like you're not getting CMC or Jonathan Taylor or Jameer Gibbs. Like those three, Bijan's probably even off the table in a redraft. As weird as it was to see Algier fall into the end zone twice last week. But I
Right.
think those four are pretty meh. But I think you could look at a Kyron Williams. I think you could look at Josh Jacobs. Let's see who. Maybe I don't think you'd get James Cook, but it's just lesser name value, even with as well as he's been playing. But I think it'd be a flyer, like test the waters with James Cook. That's kind of your high water mark, and then you're working down from there.
Right. Okay. I like it. Frank asking what's cracking. Not much, Frank. You know how we do it on the Friday night lights here. And Frank saying setting a lineup was so much easier, but now my bench is rising up and making me think. That is not a bad thing. So certainly can be a bit frustrating sometimes, right? And when that starts sit accuracy starts creeping up on you, but having depth is not a not a bad thing to have. The Soja Boys on YouTube's asking, can you, Kevin, say, I think it's, can you tell Kevin I said hi from Genu Sasha, one of the, and then saying hi, Kevin.
What's going on?
There we go. All righty. Frank chiming in, saying that they need 2 running backs and 1 flex between Judkins, Woody, Chase Brown, Harvey, Flowers, and JMO. Judkins is a smash for me.
I'd tell you it's Judkins and Chase Brown. Harvey looks juicy, right? And I guess I'll explain myself here a little bit. It's not Woody with this mix.
No.
Harvey looks juicy, but Sean Payton does not like getting any one running back complete domination of the backfield. That's just not how he coaches. So you're going to see McLaughlin, right? Like you'll see some McLaughlin. Harvey will probably be used a bit more in the passing game, but this Chiefs defense is good, right? Like they are for real. Denver's offensive line has done a really good job this season, so I do think Harvey has some pop. But if you're playing 2 running backs in their matchups this week, like we saw Chase Brown almost touch 100 yards last time against the Steelers. seeing if you can kind of get that going again. Judkins is the smash. And then for the flex side of things, I think JMO's your ceiling and Flowers is your floor as far as a flex play goes.
No, I really like that thought there, right? And would agree, right? Judkins is the smash. I like the Chase Brown side of thing, and to your point as well, right? Like Harvey looks incredibly, a lot of people saying wheels up and are expecting some very big things from RJ Harvey, but honestly, I think his ceiling is probably in the RB2 range category as well, right? I think we
As
could.
soon as everybody says one thing, it's like betting, right? It's like gambling. As soon as everybody's on one side, you need to flip to the other side. And this week with RJ Harvey, it reeks of that to me. And,
Yep.
and as a Bronco fan, I hope he lights it up. I hope the kid lights it up. I'd love for him to see 120 all-purpose yards and a touchdown or two like that. Nothing would make me happier. But if I'm really thinking about this and being fair to the situation, RJ Harvey is going to end up with, 80 to 100 all-purpose yards. And maybe he gets in the end zone, maybe not. But I'd take Chase Brown in the guaranteed volume with no Samaje Perine. And not have to worry about Harvey trying to bust one.
All right. This is one of those that I don't think RJ Harvey sees more than 13 carries on this one, right? Like everybody's anticipating this extra work. I don't think he sees more than 13 carries on the ground, and the passing
targets.
work. Yeah, well, the passing work will be about the same as it's been all season, right? Like I just don't see it coming to fruition to the point where I think your high water mark for RJ Harvey is that he sneaks inside back end running back 2, right? Like RB 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there on the week, right? Chase Brown, to your point, right? Like we saw him do incredibly well against the Steelers the last time out. Chase Brown, since Joe Burrow's been able to kind of come in and just fling the ball all over the yard, and since and I was saying this weeks and weeks ago, Cincinnati's run game is set up by their pass game, right? Most other teams they use the run to set up the pass. Cincinnati's the opposite. They use the pass to be able to set up the run. And with that being the case, wouldn't surprise me if we see Chase Brown be I think his floor is a mid RB2 running back 18. I guess ceiling can be sneaking up into RB 11, 12, right? So like that a lot better. So I'm right there with you, Judkins and Chase Brown. And I think I'm there with you as well, right? I think Flowers gives you the very safe floor and JMO gives you the ceiling. And so in that flex play, it really just depends on what you need, right? If you're projected to kind of, be pretty comfortable in your matchup, I'm going Flowers and just getting the safe points and the safe floor. If I'm projected to trail, I don't feel overly good about the matchup, I'm going to throw JMO in there and put my big swing in and try and try and punch up a little bit and see if I can't sneak one away there and get some pop on that one. So any other thoughts on this one?
No, we are aligned.
All righty. The Frogs over on YouTube saying I need one RB and one flex between Kyron, Rico, Harvey, Swift, JMO, Woody, Tet. Brutal decision. Also, Otten or Loveland. Thanks, guys.
All right, so one running back and one flex. I think Kyron. I think Kyron's the guy that you just got to ride with. And I want to say it's Rico.
I want to say it's Rico too. I think Rico probably has a better week than Kyron does, to be honest.
There's a good potential there, right? That Seattle defense is good, right? Kyron does not have an easy week. Going up against Atlanta.
They've had a decent defense too.
Yeah, they have. Pass defense is really where it's been for Atlanta. Like you can get them on the ground. So I'd tell you Rico's your guy. And then for flex play,
Yeah, I still like Kyron over Swift, JMO, Woody, or Tet. For me, it's Kyron and Rico, and I'm locking that one in.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So, as much as all the other guys sound good and name good and all of that, I think you've got both the better ceiling potential and better floor potential for Kyron and Rico out of everybody listed there. As far as Otten and for Loveland, this one could be a bit interesting here, but I would lean on the Cade Otten side of things. I think I think he probably gives you a little bit safer floor on this one, but that's kind of where I'd roll, right? I think Cade Otten can sneak into a tight end one. I think Colson Loveland is a mid tight end 2 this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna co-sign that.
So
I like Otten this week. Again, no Evans, no Godwin, no Bucky Irving. Like these games are made for Cade Otten.
Right. And Baker does look for him when he's down to basically one wide receiver and Cade Otten as an option. And that's where we're at this week. So alrighty. Frank chiming in saying, oh yeah, I do have Goff, so that JMO stack would be nice. Going back to that previous question on the flex. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Still would lean Flowers for the floor, but JMO does give you the nice ceiling. Edson over on YouTube, start one of the three between DK, Ridley, and Barner. Thoughts on this one?
I'm leaning DK, right? Ridley's coming off of a hamstring injury. I really don't want a part of a guy coming off a soft tissue injury like that, especially with DK's been he hasn't been great, but he's been seeing a lot of targets, right? Like he's been seeing some volume here. I think that he's going to be your best shot here. AJ Barner does nothing for me. So DK, then Ridley, then Barner. So same order that you listed him in is how I like them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And typically, if you're talking that order, you're talking flex play. I don't want to tight end unless I am forced to. I don't want to be starting tight ends and flexes. William saying flex Vidal or Mark non PPR and PPR this week. I think in both instances, I'm leaning Vidal then Marks in that order.
I would agree with that.
So, alrighty. Any other thoughts on this one?
Nope.
All right. Ezekiel chiming in saying, should I trade Woody for Wandale or Dobbs?
I don't mind it for Wandell. I really don't. Like you're seeing some consistent targets each week. The New York, they're down their top receiver, they're down their top running back, they're on their third string quarterback now because they just really don't like Russell Wilson. So I'm playing Wandell. I'd do that deal.
Yeah, I don't want
Again,
the Dobbs. Oh, good.
Houston's offensive line's so bad. It really is. That Woody has the potential to flash. It's not that the talent is missing. It's the situation that he's in right now. And we don't know when Stroud's coming back from this concussion. He's going to miss his second straight game. Offensive line is just not very good, and I think is the best way to put it. Give me Wandale Robinson. The guy's seen a lot of competition for targets. Dobbs has some touchdown upside that Wandale Robinson doesn't always provide you, but that's all it is touchdown upside. Like Romeo Dobbs, you're looking at like 2 for 25 with a touchdown, and that's how he's getting there. Wandale Robinson, you're seeing 6 for 87, and you're hoping he gets in the end zone for icing on the cake. So I'm taking the volume.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well, right? Like I don't want the nebulous situation that is Green Bay's passing attack. And the wide receivers in that one, right? Before Tucker Kraft went out, like that was the piece of the Green Bay passing game that I wanted. With him out, no thank you. And I'm kind of passing over on just about everything that I can there. And to Kevin's point, right? Like the Houston has probably the worst offensive line in the NFL this season, right? Like there could certainly be an argument made for that one. So it is tough as a running back to be able to run behind a O line that has a hard time blocking much of anything. So I think Wandale does potentially give you some upside, and with the volume, it is a little bit of a safer floor there. So Ezekiel saying, chiming in saying, for tight end, should I roll with Andrews, Fannin, or Schultz this week? And that's a good one, right? With the tight ends, and especially when kind of streaming, it can be a bit rougher, a bit tougher there. I think that I like the matchup for Fannin. Probably the best on that one. And that's also one of those two that Dylan Gabriel has certainly looked for Harold Fannin week in, week out on this one. All of these tight ends are going to be kind of very touchdown dependent this week, right? None of them are going to see enough volume to necessarily, blow the doors off and just get the job done that way. I think at best you might see, and I think Fannin's probably got the best volume out of the three listed here. And I think that these three are going to be kind of stacked up right next to each other. So it really depends on who you think is going to get into the end zone this week. Schultz, the Houston defense at Tennessee, that could be a snoozer on that one. Especially with the backup quarterback. Andrews at Cleveland, right? Baltimore probably has the best chance of putting the ball in the end zone a few times, but Cleveland's defense is pretty good, and those division games tend to get a little lower scoring. Same thing with Harold Fannin. So I think I'll probably take the volume of Fannin because I think he'll probably see at least 7, 8, 9 targets in this one. And so I'd lean that way. But what thoughts you got on this one?
I'm going Schultz on this one.
Okay.
I think with Davis Mills being quarterback, he's got 2 targets. I think he's throwing to Nico and he's checking down to Schultz. All right, like this is a game. If you're Houston, you have to win if you are serious about trying to sneak into the playoffs. You just have to win this game, and I think the best way to do that is, it's the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? Like just target Nico, target Schultz. It's not going to be pretty, but I'm trying to stay away from this Baltimore Cleveland game. It could get out of hand just as easily as it could stay tight. It is in a low scoring matchup, right? Like with how Baltimore's gotten healthy, and again, their backs are against the wall. They know they have ground to make up. And they're kind of plugging through here. Like I think they're on a mission. And even with Lamar having a sore knee, they do still spread the ball around. So Andrews is not the same. He's not the same target force that he was in years past. He can still play, but he's not the same target force. And Fannin, I think because he is such a target force, I mean, and Shadur, there's rumors that Shadur is going to play, like starting this game. So I don't know. Like I don't think Fannin's where I would lean personally. I think I'd go Schultz.
Okay. So there you go, Ezekiel. You've got the different opinion there, but you've got the reasoning behind that as well. Jordan saying, "Sup, good old boys." Not much, Jordan. You know how we doing it on the Friday night bet set snap. Jordan saying that they picked up Sean Tucker this week. Full send ? I
don't know about full send. Like, I think it depends on what you got. There's a couple lineups I'm definitely playing him in, right? Like, I don't love my other options. Like, I'm playing Sean Tucker over like a Tony Pollard. Like, but that's where my send level is. Again, you beat Buffalo by running it down their throat. And they've really struggled against teams who have been willing to do that. And the teams who have not been willing to just run it down, Buffalo's come out with victories here. So that and Tucker is still splitting it with Rachaad White. So it's a true split backfield. Like it really is. So I would tell you that whatever projection model that you're looking at from the site you're playing probably has Rachaad White overvalued and Sean Tucker undervalued. So it's all part of it, but Sean Tucker is going to be a piece of this offense, and they're going to need him to keep Buffalo on its heels.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So the Sean Tucker, I think, is a guy that this week you're going to be looking at probably about 10 carries and between 45 and 55 yards, right? I think that's really where you're going to come into Sean Tucker's day and where that's going to be. So depending upon what your options are at flex, right? Like if you're, I don't know that we're going to see him get a whole lot of work through the air. So yeah, depending upon what you've got for other options at the flex type of play there, you're looking probably around 5 points for Sean Tucker this week. So if he gets in the end zone, that's the gravy on top and pushes you past 10, but very much depends on what your other options are this week. But that's kind of where I would see him and value that way. Any other thoughts on that one?
Sure.
All right. William saying, I just noticed you're in both modes. That is correct. We've got the little vertical thing and the horizontal thing going on over on YouTube. So, but we're working our way through both chats there. So appreciate everybody's patience while we rock and roll through all those questions. Michael saying, got offered Bowers and Monty for Aaron Jones, AJ Brown, and Pitts. I think I still prefer the AJ Brown side, though. Might try DJ Moore instead of AJ Brown.
I would keep with Aaron Jones and Kyle Pitts. David Montgomery's been it's too up and down. It's just too up and down. Jahmyr Gibbs is playing so well right now that Montgomery's not seeing as much as he has the last 2 years. Gibbs has kind of fully ascended into the lead dog in that backfield, if you will. Aaron Jones back healthy, saw the vast majority of snaps and volume last week for the Vikings. I would expect that to continue. Kyle Pitts has been quite consistent at the tight end level. So he's been getting you 5 for 55. Like that's pretty much what you're getting out of Kyle Pitts. But it's consistent, right? You're getting 10 points, 10.5 points, something like that in full point PPRs consistently out of him, which is awesome. I know AJ Brown is kind of a hit or miss, and he's been a real frustration for a lot of folks this year. But I don't think it's going to be Devonta Smith forever. Like I do think eventually we'll see AJ Brown snap out of this. Not that you have to start him, but I would hate to get away, 3 for 1 just to get Brock Bowers, basically, because David Montgomery does nothing for me right now.
Yeah. Cosign. William saying Vidal or Marks. We've already hit that one up earlier on. Jordan saying that the other options are Mason or Pollard for the Sean Tucker. So between the three, Sean Tucker, Jordan Mason, Tony Pollard. Yeah, I would agree. I think Tucker. I think Tony Pollard gives you about 10 carries as well as Sean Tucker. I just think Sean Tucker has a better chance of getting a better yards per carry average this week. So yeah, if they're going to see the same volume, I'll take the guy that I think is going to do better. And Jordan Mason is kind of just meh for me this week. I don't really have a much of a thought around that one other than he might get 4 or 5 opportunities. So he'd be the third guy on that. So I'd go Tucker, Pollard, Mason in that order. Any other thoughts on that one? Alrighty. The Frogs over on YouTube need one RB.
this
One.
one.
Oh, yep, you're right. We did hit that one up earlier. Some repeats coming in here. Ezekiel saying, should I trade away Addison? If so, what other wide receiver should I go for?
I mean, it's going to be tough to go receiver for receiver with Addison right now.
Right. Yeah, 1-for-1 trades are always tough at the same position.
And I'd tell you, like Xavier Worthy. I mean, honestly, you're kind of tied into Addison. Like, even at one, like would you take Jordan Addison if you had Wandell Robinson? Would you do that trade?
I'd rather have the Wandell Robinson side, but that's a guy that
That's what I'm thinking too, right? Like,
that's a guy I wouldn't mind throwing that out there and just see if I could do it, right? Alex Pierce would be another guy. Wouldn't necessarily mind trying that one, right? Alex Pierce, you are boom bust and kind of the same player.
maybe.
That was maybe.
Right? Jacoby Myers, maybe with Hunter going to IR for Jacksonville. Like, Jacoby Myers is at least interesting enough. I don't think you're really going to love what you're getting in return if you're trying to go for position,
Right.
and those trades are the hardest. Those trades are the hardest because the guy receiving the trades, like, what do you know that I don't know? Like, what that it's tough in redrafts. Dynasty, you see it a little bit more because then you're looking at age and some different things on a 3-year scope. But in season redraft, trying to trade away Addison because you're frustrated. Everyone knows that JJ McCarthy is the quarterback in Minnesota. So unless the guy you're trading with happens to be a big Vikings honk and absolutely like wants him because he loves having Vikings on his team, it might be tough to get something that you would perceive as fair in return.
Right. So yeah, I Parasol might be the option you can get done. Wandell Robinson would be kind of the preferred option there, but yeah, I think you're going to be a tough sell on that one for sure.
Debo,
Yeah.
maybe. Like, here's one. If someone's frustrated, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton has not been hyper productive here the last couple of weeks, much like Jordan Addison. But Cortland Sutton is at least the number one receiver on that team. And eventually I do think him and Bo Nix will get back on the same page. So that might be a guy who's been in kind of a bad streak, right? Maybe the owner's frustrated with that and they're willing to shake it up. So I think that's a potential option for you.
Yeah. Here's an idea. Maybe Sean Payton can figure out that the offense moves better when he actually targets Cortland Sutton instead of Troy Franklin. Just, yeah. But that's a different thought there.
Ball gets caught a little bit more.
When I was looking at that the other day, like those catch percentages are not great for Troy Franklin.
No. That's what I meant with Sutton. The ball, because Sutton will actually, like, he's not going to have it bounce off his chest and get it intercepted like he did last week.
Right. Yeah. Much higher success rate when you tend to throw the ball to Cortland Sutton's way versus Troy Franklin just drastically out targeting that, which boggles my mind. Anyway, moving on. Todd over on YouTube, Franklin or Debo, PPR, and Tua or Knicks. Thanks, guys.
Much as Debo.
As much as I don't want to say Tua, I'm leaning the Tua side.
Tua, yeah. Tua's my reaction this week. It's a much easier matchup. And again, I think Washington has damn near quit. Like, we will figure out if there's still fight left in that dog, or if Washington is just going to pack it in until they play the Cowboys, just to be a pain in the Cowboys' backside.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I agree. Tua is the call this week. Much easier matchup. Franklin or Debo.
Yeah.
This week it's Debo. Even with the international game, like, I think Franklin has a real potential of struggling here against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would agree on both, right? I think it's Debo and Tua. As much as I really don't like targeting the international game and putting kind of on both sides, I don't want much in the Kansas City Denver matchup this week, right? In that game. Like that's just you got two defenses that are pretty good on that one, and you've got two teams that don't really like each other and a divisional matchup. Like I think that this one very well could be the lowest scoring game of the season. Oh, that's one.
I was just saying, and Denver wants it that way, right?
Right.
Like Denver does not want a shootout with Kansas City. They're not built like that, like the Chargers can be. Denver wants this game grimy. Like they want a 13-10. Like,
Right.
they'd take a 12-9 field goal fest and just
Mhm.
be happy as a pig in slop. Like
Right.
Denver does not want any bit of trying to get 30 up on the board against Kansas City.
No, they have a hard time putting up 20 on bad teams, much less. Yeah. Anyway, Bradley over on YouTube, 12 team full PPR. Daniels, Flacco, Gibbs, Henderson, Judkins, Rice, Flowers, McBride, Sutton, Jennings, Parasol. For rest of season, trade away Jennings for Brian Thomas Jr. Thanks.
Yeah,
I don't mind it.
I don't mind that. I
I
don't mind
could.
that. Like you don't want Jennings and Parasol both,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Correct.
Like there are very, very few teams that you could do that with and be successful. And I mean, I
The
say
Rams are
few,
about it.
the Cowboys and are
Yeah.
the other one. Rams and Cowboys. Like
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, I
I don't want the Cincinnati roller coaster that's T. Higgins on that side.
no, no. And yeah, the Chargers, if you have, two wide receivers, you're always going to get burned with one of them. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm fine with trading Jennings away. If you can get Brian Thomas Jr., smash yes.
There we go. A Manster over on YouTube saying traded Debo, Vidal, and Kate Otten for Terry and Hampton, 7-3, and the other team needs a tight end. It needs to win now. So I thought it worked. Thoughts on this one?
Yeah, you just need the injured guys to get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Hampton doesn't come back until week 14 and you drop the next 3 weeks, like
It's rough.
7-6 doesn't feel nearly as comfortable as 7-3 does. But um, same thing with Terry in this quad, right? Like, I think I'm surprised they didn't put him on IR. I really am. Like, I really thought that they were going to do that. So, if you have your bench strength or starting strength and they were your bench guys, right, to kind of work around, then you're great. You're on the back end of bye weeks and you're off and running. But you need them both to get healthy, and we'll see how that goes with Hampton and Terry. I would expect to see Hampton back before Terry McLaurin, though.
So would I. Yeah, I mean, I kind of like it from the standpoint that you really did kind of, move guys that were kind of supporting cast on your roster for guys that have the potential to be pop players and have monster weeks for you. But to Kevin's point, right? Like if Terry doesn't come back and Hampton takes a while to come back or takes longer than we hope for him to come back, that could be a bit of an interesting move. But essentially, Kate Otten was a guy you most likely had been picked up off the waiver wire recently. Vidal was a guy that was picked up off the waiver wire. Debo was probably the only guy that you really drafted in that one. So I don't mind the move. Just it's the injuries have got to work for you and work out, where these guys come back strong. So, all right. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Banking, saying, need y'all with me right now. Y'all with me, need to know for real. Appreciate that, Banking. And Keenan, if you were to package Quentin Johnson and Franklin in a trade, which wide receiver would you try to get?
George Pickens. Maybe Roma Dunze. Maybe.
Yeah.
But you got to start. So you got to start somewhere, right? So start with Pickens. That Pickens and Dunze level is kind of where you're at. Maybe like a Jalen Waddle. Like I think that's probably another guy kind of in that area, but I think that's your benchmark of who you're targeting, and then what you're accepting, might be down from that.
Right. Yeah, 2-for-1 deals are kind of hard to do it unless the other team that you're targeting is just wrecked at wide receiver depth. So, but I mean, Quentin Johnson and Troy Franklin, I mean, you're trying to move like a wide receiver 3 or 4 and back end wide receiver 2, top end wide receiver 3 to I mean, if you can go out and get a Pickens or an Adunze and kind of that mid to upper wide receiver 2, great. But you very well may not find many buyers for that kind of deal. Keenan, did I win this trade? Traded away Woody and JMO to get Josh Jacobs. I have Kyron, Javante, Corum, Emmanuel Wilson as running backs. I have JSN, Lamb, Quentin Johnson, Franklin as wide receivers.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, being able to roll Jacobs, Kyron, and Javante out like as your 2 running backs in your flex, and then you have JSN and Lamb.
Right.
If you need some upside, you pivot off of Javante and then, Quentin Johnson or Franklin, whichever has the better matchup. But I'm liking this. I made a similar type trade in our home league for Josh Jacobs. Like I needed some consistency, some volume with how our scoring system is. So Jacobs is the guy that I went after and was able to get that done also. So I feel where you're coming from.
Right. I like it. Frank, did you ever play Tecmo Bowl?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
Yes.
It's the first video game I ever really got into.
Yeah. Yeah, the old NES side of things, that was amazing. So I like it. That one takes me back a little bit. Any other thoughts on this one?
Man, that brings back some memories. What was your team?
I did like using the Bo Nix cheat or the Bo Jackson cheat.
Bo Jackson cheat. See, I played as the Bills. I played with Reed and Thomas and those guys. I played with the Bills a lot.
Fair enough. All right.
The Niners were good too.
Yeah.
Rice and Craig, like it was still. Those were fun.
Yeah. Apparently 007's in the chat saying, sup boys, Mariota, Miami and Spain, or Brissett 49ers this week. Woof.
Wolf is right, but I'm leaning Mariota.
So am I, and I don't like it. Yeah. Yeah, as much as I don't like it, I think it might be Mariota. Both of these guys at best, their ceiling I think is QB 14 or 15 on the week. Like this is hopefully you've got enough firepower at other positions to make up for quarterback play this week. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, sir.
All right. Keenan, I have over on YouTube saying I have Bowers as a tight end. Would you drop Loveland for Goff? I have Dak as my starter.
I think I would. Goff's a very serviceable quarterback, right? So, Dak has a bad matchup or, gets dinged up a little bit, being able to pivot to Jared Goff and knowing you have that going into the playoffs, I think that's beneficial.
Right. And, short of Bowers missing time, you're not going to play Loveland over Bowers really in any situation. So, yeah, I would lean that way as well. Also maybe worth just shopping Loveland out there and seeing if you can't find anything coming back in the trade market there. Philly Mike over on YouTube, Pat Mahomes, JJ McCarthy, or Penix Jr. It's a super flex league. Which two do I start?
Holmes and McCarthy.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want the Michael Penix train at all, right? Like I think Michael Penix is going to be lucky to finish inside QB2 territory this week, right? Like I think he's going to be very back end there. I think Mahomes still manages to put up a pretty decent game, and McCarthy, I think you're talking mid to top end QB2 range. Any other thoughts on this one?
I'm in agreement.
Awesome. Jordan saying that they remember Tecmo Bowl. All right, guys, if you now I'm just curious to see what everybody played with the Tecmo Bowl. So throw it in the chat. Let us know what teams you played with in the old Tecmo Bowl. Frank over on YouTube saying, I wish I had more bench spots. I feel Loser Burden is the last potential league winner that's on waivers. I only have 5 bench spots.
I mean,
that's calling you shot on that one for sure.
On Burden for sure. Now I'm all about, some more bench spots, right? Like there's part of fantasy football I don't like shallow benches, and I actively don't play shallow bench leagues because I feel like if you're in a shallow bench league, the majority of the time you're also in a waiver priority league.
Mm-hmm.
And the two combined make it impossible for a upper third team to, I shouldn't say impossible. It makes it really difficult for an upper third team to absorb the same things that these lower level teams had to deal with earlier on in the season, and they just got better free agents because their guys got hurt first.
Right.
So if it's a short bench, it better be fab. If it's a short bench and waiver priority, I'm not going to play it. Like I don't see the need in it.
I'm also I also prefer the deep benches and the deep leagues there because one, it tends to make everybody do their homework, right? And it's one of those that everybody's not rushing to the waiver wire on game day to pick up and try and do that kind of stuff, because you've got to plan ahead. You got to look at this thing. You've got to kind of actively be following some things there. So I prefer the deeper bench spots and the deeper leagues there as well. Just from a strategy standpoint, if nothing else, it makes people be a little bit more active, in my opinion. So, any other thoughts on this one? Bisco over on YouTube saying trade Judkins and Goddard for Kyron. The other running backs are Achan, Warren, RJ, Hampton, RJ and Hampton. My other tight end is Kittle.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think I'd probably sit tight, but if you really want to make the trade, I'm good with it. Like Goddard's been useful enough in the red zone, career high in touchdowns. The more AJ Brown that we don't see, the more Dallas Goedert seems to get involved with this offense for the Eagles. And Kittle is great, but we see him to be really, really streaky. There's weeks where he's awesome to have, and there's other weeks where he goes, 1 for 6, and you're going, what the hell happened here, right? So I would probably stay pat, but I get it. If you want to do it, you have my blessing for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I think I'd actually rather have the Judkins side on that one. It has nothing to do with the tight end on that one. It has to do with but I do think that Kyron has probably a little bit better finish down the stretch here. But I do like Judkins' schedule far better than what I like Kyron, and as we start getting into the playoffs and what that looks like there. With your running back room, I kind of like it as is. If you really want to go out and get Kyron, I'm not opposed to that. I think I prefer the Judkins side of things from a strength of schedule and what that allows me to do matchup wise going through it and into the playoffs. So, any other thoughts on this one? All right. Jordan saying that they played Indianapolis and Dallas in the Tecmo Bowl. I
Dallas
like it.
was good, right? You had team of the '90s. That Indianapolis, was that Harbaugh at quarterback?
That was in the time frame he was there. I can't remember if he was actually the quarterback when they made that game or not, but
It's fine. Okay.
yeah. Frank saying that they played Cleveland. Mac was the RB and he just trucked everyone. Bo and Marcus Allen were the running backs for Oakland and unstoppable. Yeah. And Jordan saying Eric Dickerson on the Tecmo Bowl side of things. So
Right.
heading down the old memory lane there. Alrighty. Well, it looks like that's going to take us down here towards the end of the chat. Guys, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, make sure you get those in. We'll hit up the last ones trickling in here. But while we give folks a chance to respond to that, any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Good luck in week 11, right? And continue to grind, right? Whether it's waiver wire, whether it's last minute trades, obviously. It's good to see that you guys, a bunch of you guys, are looking forward to the playoffs and trying to see what's coming up and how that's going to look for your rest of your season. But as always, we appreciate you tuning in and helping support our, kind of our small homegrown podcast. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit us up at our socials or on our socials at Good Old Boys FF. And between the two or three of us, we will do our best to get back to you as quickly as we can.
Agreed. Jordan also chiming in and saying, Jeff.
Jeff George. Yeah.
Yep.
Joe,
Man,
that's a flashback.
Right. That's funny. Joe asking, how come if you donate a kidney, you're a hero, but when you donate 5, the cops are at your door? That's an interesting thought there at late on a Friday night here, Joe.
I love dark humor. That's awesome.
Yeah. All righty. Well, guys, I think that is going to take us down here to the end of it. I very much appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. It is always a fun and a blast to get to chat with everybody and interact with everybody through the chat. And we'll be back again on Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern, and hope everybody has a great week 11 here. As Kevin mentioned, hit us up on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Good Old Boys FF. We'll do our best on that one. Frank chiming in as well on the way out saying, appreciate you, especially explaining the way you guys think about these players. Thanks. Most welcome. And Jordan saying LOL. I believe that's the Joe's joke up there earlier. All right, guys. That is going to do it for us tonight. Again, appreciate everybody in the chat tuning in, chiming in. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.